We are going to hear from Gideon Amichai, who found that the best way to make change happen is not to take no for an answer.
Hi. I would like to start with a short story about my mother. My mother was a Jewish mother, and as a Jewish mother, she wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer, or as she used to say, be something. I wanted to be a cartoonist. Oy vey. A cartoonist was not on a list. Actually, not on any list. I was 6 or 7, I was drawing, and my mother became the critic. I'm not sure about the colors, I'm not sure about the composition. I mean, you can imagine the scene. At the very same time, every drawing of my friends made it to the refrigerator door. You know, the fridge, the museum of kids. Not me. Fast forward. 1989. At that time, I was a student at School of Visual Arts. I was part of an exchange student program with Bezalel. It's an art school in Jerusalem. And my instructor was Paul Peter Porges. Now, that name doesn't say anything to you, but for me, he was a legend. He was a cartoonist for Mad magazine. And he was a cartoonist for The New Yorker. And you know, the dream of every cartoonist in the world is to publish a cartoon in the New Yorker magazine. That was my dream too. And with some optimism, I shared the dream with Paul Peter Porges. He looked at me and said, there are so many magazines and newspapers. Why do you insist on the one that there is no chance to get in? But that was my dream. So he said, no, if you insist on that, you should know that on every Wednesday, you can leave an envelope with sketches at the New Yorker's reception desk. I didn't need to hear anything more. He said, on Friday, you get it back. Fine with me. I was drawing all week. On Wednesday, full of energy, I walked all the way to the New Yorker. I went up to the 22nd floor and I met the receptionist. The receptionist gave me the look, the I have seen thousands like you kind of look. And at me and my chutzpah, I gave him in return the same kind of look. And I have seen thousands like you. He took the envelope and pushed it in a box. I mean, it was a huge box full of envelopes. On Thursday, I hardly slept. On Friday, full of energy, I walked all the way again. My envelope was waiting for me with all the drawings and in the same order. But there was a yellow note from the New Yorker. It was an American-style apology. Explaining my drawings didn't fit. On Monday, I showed the note to Paul. I told you so, Paul told me so. But that was my dream. I took my energy, walked all over the city, drawing more and more and more drawings. Actually, 20. When I'm saying drawing, let's see one. This is one from 1989, fast food. So on Wednesday, one envelope and 20 sketches walked all the way to the New Yorker. We met the receptionist again. On Friday, another no yellow note was waiting for me. More Wednesdays and more Fridays and more notes, more Wednesdays, more Fridays. I mean, I had that kind of a relationship with the receptionist. As in, you know, the most known novel by Yitzhak Bashevis Zinger, Enemies, a Love Story. I loved the receptionist. However, he hated me. But then, one Friday, there was a surprise. Not please don't jump. It was the same no yellow note. But there was a scribble on it. It was illegible. I tried to read it, I couldn't. And I asked the receptionist, but he couldn't read it either. At that point, at that moment, I realized, see, my mother was right. If I had been a doctor, I could have read it. More Wednesdays, more drawings, here is another one. More Fridays, more notes and more scribbles. Keep trying. See, I can read it now. More Wednesdays, I mean, we are speaking about, let's say, like something like 300 drawings already. And here's another one just to get the idea. But then one Friday, one drawing was missing. I received my envelope with 19 sketches. The note said, holding one. What did it mean? Paul knew the answer. He said, you should know that the cartoon editor actually is keeping one of your drawings for the editorial meeting. Keeping or not keeping, my enthusiasm was kept exactly 1 week, because the next week I received my envelope with 21 sketches. Nothing happened. Here is another, even holding two. I mean, after 1 year, 1,000 sketches, I had to go back to Jerusalem to present my project. So I chose the best 10 sketches, and that was actually my graduation project. And the dream went to the drawer. Fast forward 1993, I am in a new career. My career is in advertising. And actually, commercial TV was starting in Israel, and the agency sent me to New York to learn how to make commercials. Now, you know the difference, I mean, the weather difference between Tel Aviv and, of course, New York in January. So I opened my winter closet, searching for my gloves and my scarf, and there it was, the envelope with the 10 final drawings. My dream was alive again. I said, I have nothing to lose. I put it in my suitcase, I flew to New York. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, on Wednesday at noon, you already know exactly what I've done. I went all the way to the New Yorker, I went up to the top floor, and I met the new receptionist. But he gave me the same old look. On Thursday, when I came back to my hotel room, a voice message was waiting for me. It was the sweetest voice I have ever heard. Hi, Gideon. This is Anne from the New Yorker. Could you please drop by near our office? We would like to discuss some of your drawings. Now, you should know in advertising, we hate the word discussion. I mean, there is a discussion on everything, on the logo, on the size, on when, on why, on where, whatever. But at that moment, I love discussions. I met the receptionist again the next day, but for the very first time, I went through the castle gates. I met Françoise Molly. She is the editor, the art editor of the New Yorker. All my drawings were leaning on the wall, against the wall. I mean, the window and skyline of New York. I mean, dreams. And she said, we would like to buy that one. And here is my first full-color page, published in the New Yorker 1995. Thank you. And then she said, and we would like to buy that one. And here is the second full-color page, published in the New Yorker in 1995. When I went out of the meeting, I called my mom in Tel Aviv. Mom, I have a surprise. Is she Jewish? You never win with moms. Never. But this is not a story about drawings. This is a story about one word, full of inspiration, the word no. No, it's not fun to get a no. Really, no pleasure. But CEOs, entrepreneurs, innovators, creative people, we all get so many no's in our life. You know, in the beginning I thought every no is like that, with a huge exclamation point. But throughout my career in advertising and marketing and hundreds of campaigns, I actually realized that actually almost every no comes with a comma. No, comma, something. Remember the first note from the New Yorker was just, a standard no. But then the next one was actually no, comma, sorry. It was sorry on that note, that scribble. And then it was no, comma, keep trying. Now that's actually the beginning of a yes. And no comma holding one and no comma holding two, like in real life. No comma, we don't have the budget. Or no comma, we don't have the time. Which is actually, we would like to work with you guys. We think your project is great. We do have a problem with the timing. Now the problem is that CEOs or clients, they don't say no, comma, something, they just say no. And it is our job to discover which kind of a no, comma we are dealing with. Because there are so many types of no, commas. I mean, the dramatic no, comma that leads us to work even harder, which is always good. And of course, the inspirational no, comma that challenges us to rethink, and of course, maybe the most important one, the one that challenges us to take our idea into a different direction, into a different vertical. See, for me, every no, comma is a treasure. And by the way, for me, again, every no, comma is the beginning of a yes. And speaking of a yes, there is one yes on that board. Have you seen the yes? Now be honest, how many of you saw that in the beginning? You see? It takes time to see the yes, because it's very easy to see the no's, the big no's. They are louder, always. So for me, actually, every no comes with a question mark. No? Really? And since then, I have a relationship with no commas. I hug them. I embrace them, because for me, no comma is probably the best answer I can get. Because resistance is good. Resistance in innovation, resistance in medicine, resistance is great. We need patience. We are all students in the University of Patience. And there is always another semester. See, resilience is great. It's about everything. It's about business. It's about social impact. It's about your dream. It's about whatever you do. Back to the drawing. My mother died in 2005. But I believe this drawing would have made it on her fridge. Thank you so much.